huge shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you to Rally Carr, Alacia S, Lame Game Hero, Logan, Dylan Colster, and Lexi_95. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you would like to become a patron, the link is in the description. On November 9th, Gfriend released their album, Walpurgis Night, alongside a music video for their title track, Mago. This was the third album in their Hue trilogy. Hue means to go back or to return, and this can be looked at in a number of ways, including the idea of time travel, where we've previously seen Una's point of view, where she keeps trying to go back in time and fix things between her friends. It can refer to the labyrinth that we see them in, where the only true way to leave is to go back to the entrance, because there's only one way in and one way out. The idea of a labyrinth is to gather new knowledge as you weave through its paths. However, instead of just go back, Hue could also mean the answer, which in the context of this particular album, Walpurgis Night, might be the case. Hello, my name is Lena and welcome to my channel. I'm a big hit theorist, and clearly today we are talking about both Mago and Walpurgis Night today. If you want to see my theory for Gfriend up till this point, I recommend taking a look at my video explaining the story so far. Anyways, I know that you guys have been waiting for this video for a while, so let's just get into it. Firstly, Walpurgis Night is, unsurprisingly, tied to witches. Originally, it was meant to celebrate the shifting of seasons, but later, in folklore on this night, it is said that witches will gather upon the highest mountain in order to celebrate, often celebrating the devil or something equally considered evil. This is usually done with a lot of dancing, specifically around bonfires. Some people also believed that on this night, the veil was thin and thus spirits and ghosts and the wicked would wander, and thus they would attempt to keep these evil spirits at bay, ironically using the same method. They just really liked bonfires, I guess. However, Gfriend's album here largely seems to flip this idea on its head. In the music video for Mago, they were described by both themselves and as others as being modern witches. As in, instead of letting them fear what they became, they embraced new identities as a witch, as a modern woman, and are proud of themselves unabashedly. From a purely thematic stance, this makes a lot of sense. Their concept images in the album support this. In My Room, it shows us their own desires about what they would like to be like, and how it's okay to enjoy vanity, or owning many things, or wanting to keep to yourself, and that it shouldn't be looked down upon. In My Way, it shows them as women in positions of power, definitely something that has become more of a possibility in this current day and age, versus when witches used to be burned at the stake. And in My Girls, they're being boxed in by definitions that I'm sure many girls have had flung at them. If you're a little bit brash, then you're a tomboy. If you've ever cried in front of someone, you're too emotional. Likewise, they're trapped in the more positive words as well, having to appear to be perfect or only being called adorable and nothing else. Of course, women are much more multi-layered than that. This music video is meant to show us a more modern version of this celebration. Let's continue this thought from the previous music video and their storyline. At the beginning of Apple, their previous music video, the girls bit the apple, which is the fruit of temptation. This apple represents that which they want. I do go a little bit more into this in my Apple Explained video, so click the card if you want to see that. Anyways, to be honest, temptation itself doesn't have to be a negative thing. Just because you want something doesn't actually make it bad. Anyways, them biting the apple is what causes them to enter their mind labyrinth, which is a philosophical concept of growth, tying them, of course, to Hue. They had previously been seen wandering and running through the labyrinth, unsure of which path to follow. Of course, there's technically no wrong answer in a labyrinth, as there remains only one exit. You just have to figure out which way forwards is the one that you want to take. In the Apple Music video, they come to a conclusion. They release and use all of their blue butterflies, which previously they were using to go back in time to try and fix their issues instead of moving forward. Remember, this refers to the title of this trilogy. It's literally stopping them from going forwards. They're going back. The use of all their butterflies caused their glass beads to darken, and their possible forbidden magic cast on the Walpurgis Night, perhaps, which I'll get to in a bit. This transformed them officially into witches, with the horns to accompany it. We know that these are wishes because of the storybook that accompanies the album, but like I said, I'll get into that in a moment. They decided to go forward for what they wanted, choosing this as their path to become what they are in Mago, the modern witch. But all of this points to voluntarily becoming a witch, which, as the theme of the music video and promotion suggests, is a form of acceptance and has a basis of choice. They've chosen to have their own power this way. The concept photos reflect this by having them all start with the word my, as in my room, my way, my girls. They are deciding it for themselves, and this was set into motion at the end of Apple. If we look at it from Carl Jung's psychological standpoint, they've literally embraced their shadow, which explains the lines in Mago such as, I became the light and the darkness. It's all parts of themselves. And thus, that should be the obvious conclusion to this story, right? I mean, they decided to embrace the darkness as it was once interpreted and have come into their own. Except the storybook that accompanies the album gave us a different ending. This book is titled Glass Bead Märchen, which is a storybook, or a fairy tale. The cover shows this progression of the blackening of the glass bead as well throughout the albums. It's fairly simple to see what this is about from just the cover alone. But allow me to read it to you from the beginning of the first one. By the way, the person who did these translations originally is linked in my description, so please make sure to go there and support them as well. A peaceful and quiet countryside village. All the young girls of this village are born with a clear glass bead. When the 6 girls grow, they receive a special present at the island's lake. Of the 6 girls that grew up together since they were young, 1 received a gift. The present was a small and cute magic power. As time passed, the other girls received their gifts, one by one. Wow, amazing! Magic is exciting! The girls loved their own powers, but sometimes their friends' powers looked even cooler. I'm jealous. Returning home alone at night, as the young girl looked behind her, she suddenly thought, was this magic truly only a gift? If we gained magic, we thought we would be happy, but instead, Someone murmured to the girl who was trapped in sadness, "Find the blue butterfly. Your magic will become stronger." The girl, in search for the blue butterfly of legend, traveled through high mountains and dark forests, and ended up at an old bookstore. I see that you searched for me because of these tragic events. I looked for a blue butterfly that could erase my friend's misfortunes. The bookstore owner took out a box from his deep drawers and started to tell a story. A long time ago, they called this village the Blue Butterfly Village. Through the mysterious power of the blue butterflies, the people of this village lived happily. However, because of the people who used the butterflies for evil, in the end, the blue butterflies disappeared. However, they were not gone for good. The blue butterflies were waiting for the special people who could handle their mystical powers. Looking at your glass bead, it seems that you can awaken the power of the blue butterflies. You could even turn back time and save your friends. The owner pushed the box with the blue butterflies to the girl. However, everything has a price. Every time you use a blue butterfly, your glass bead will turn darker. If you use the final butterfly, something greater than you can handle could happen. If I can save my friends, I can pay any price. The girl replied without hesitation. After the girl had left, the owner stood up from his seat at the sound of another knock. I see that the next girl has arrived. The girl turned back time over and over again. However, misfortune was always one step ahead of the girl. Now there was one blue butterfly left. The last chance. The girl ran with all her might. I won't give up. No matter what price I pay, I will protect them. Now, when she had arrived almost at the end, and when she thought there was only one step left... No! The girl picked up her friend's glass bead, which had turned black. That's when she realized. Everyone was running for each other. Even though she reached out and held her friend, there were no blue butterflies left now. From somewhere, a voice could be heard. You know you have to pay the price. Now your soul will be dedicated to us, and you will become witches. As if the blood was draining from their veins, the girls felt their bodies grow cold. Numerous memories whirled painfully in their head and disappeared, one by one. The girl screamed. "Who put us into these shackles that we couldn't escape from?" The girl yelled. "I will never lose. I will never forgive them, whether they be gods or devils. No matter what, I'll find them and return the favor." At the end of this third book, we get a very different tale from what we were just talking about. These girls who were essentially tricked and forced to become witches seem to want to enact revenge on the one who forced them into this box, this trapping. If we look at it from that way, they should be upset with the bookstore owner, who strangely seemed to have these butterflies to share with them, no? Or even the lake. And I'm not gonna lie, initially this confused me. Why would their official statements be so completely different from the official fairy tale that they included in their album? Well, my friends, allow me to show you a couple lines from their title track this comeback. Mago. "My life is waiting for you. Yes, you. She smiles at me in the mirror. Hakuna Matata. My heart is beating for you. Yes, you. No more fairy tale." The beginning of these lines tell us that their lives are simply waiting for themselves to make that decision. Who is it that smiles back at you in the mirror but yourself? Of course, we could say that it was the sirens trapped in the mirror, kind of like with Yuju, but Gfriend are trying to take this fear away with the next line. Hakuna Matata. No worries, no troubles. Of course, there is the train of thought that we could choose to see it as the sirens who called out to them with temptations are tricking them into thinking that being a witch is a good thing, and that Mago is a false celebration where they don't have their memories anymore, so of course there's nothing bad that's happening. They're celebrating because their bad memories were wiped, and that means that we have yet to see the conclusion of this story. But I cannot ignore that source music and the girls, in fact, insist that this is in fact about becoming a modern witch. And while it's initially confusing, I do think that they've decided to subvert our expectations by literally turning this classic Grimm Brothers-esque fairy tale on its head, hence why they end this part of the lyrics with "no more fairy tale." The fairy tale, the storybook that they included with their albums, is no more. It was an ending, perhaps, at one point in history. While this book should have been the original fairy tale, a story of girls being tricked to fight by a curse and then stepped upon, taken advantage of in their sincerity, and eventually forced to become these wicked witches, vengefully swooping down to take revenge on those who caused them harm, ending in who knows what sort of way, perhaps a good ending, or perhaps they were burned at the stake like so many others. They were never the hero. Regardless, that is no longer the case. They're telling us that this story is no more fairy tale. Everything changes based on our own perspectives. The world itself is changing, and thus, so must our fairy tales. Women who were once looked down upon are slowly starting to be able to hold positions of power without being villainized and discredited. They have the freedom to choose their own interests, whether it be spending time on their own or pole dancing. They can freely drink the temptation as they so please. And this is the message that Gfriend is passing on to us now. They started from a place where it was about the others. They showed envy, they fought with each other over powers, and then they went back in time, and each time failing to fix it. And now they've ended by moving forwards. They no longer need to return, like the name of these albums seem to suggest. Instead, as witches in control of their own magic and destinies, they can move forwards. Thus, the trilogy of Hue ends, and we are ready for a new beginning on the path that they've chosen. But what do you think? Which is it? I personally believe it is up for debate, and I can't, in good conscience, come to a conclusion all on my own. I simply don't know enough about where they're planning to go with the story right now. Perhaps this truly is the story the sirens want them to know and believe, which will later take us down a path of vengeance, feeling trapped in this world that they thought they chose. Perhaps Mago has nothing to do with the story, and instead this is simply what the girls wanted their albums to be and to focus on, and it will continue as normal in the future. Or perhaps this is the way they have chosen to continue this story. But like I said, that could be wrong. I really want to know what you guys think about all of this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe, turning on notifications so that you're notified every single time that I post a new video. All of my social media is in the description, and as it is, stay sunny everyone. Bye!